Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another session of the Trading Battle. I'm your host, Chris Pulver. Nice to be with everybody today. We have an excellent show, excellent session today. Two seasoned traders here to battle it out. Our pugilist today will be trading with our sponsor and friend, 8Cap, a fantastic broker offering web platforms, MT4, MT5, and also linking that charting platform and trading platform to your favorite trading software. Today's theme, we will guide the challenges. We will have 3 challenges today. Traders will do their best. May the best trader win. The winners will be chosen after 48 days of trading. And if anybody out there has been following along for the last 24 hours, we had an interesting Monday, Bloody Monday, or call it a tomato pie, or call it a whatever you want. There was a sea of red through most of the markets, rippling through the Asia markets that kind of festered its way and snaked its way into the U.S. markets. And so interesting to say the least. I would say even a day to remember. The volatility index, the VIX, the second largest single day spike. This even overshadows COVID. This even on a day-to-day basis, one of the biggest moves since 1990. It was just absolutely nuts yesterday, and we're going to talk about that. So it's time now to introduce our gladiators, our pugilists, our traders extraordinaire. I'll first start with the man in the blue corner, an active day trader and a former professional rugby player while studying university. This trader, James Bruce, will be donating his proceeds to Bloom Special Needs School. I think James should come on in, introduce himself, say hello. Good morning, James, from South Africa. How are you today?
Good on you, Chris. Good to be on.
Good. Nice to have you, man. As James came on, I noticed hanging out in the background. It's in the afternoon his time, so myself and Hunter up in the wee hours in the morning. It's 7 o'clock my time. I think Hunter's even earlier than me. But James is hanging out. James works with ASFX and ready to rock and roll today.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. I used to play professional rugby, but now turned to part-time golf on the weekends. So
Part-time
yeah,
golf. It's a little safer, probably.
for sure.
Very nice. All right, James, your adversary today in the red corner, a trader so cool, the guy only needs one name, and he also just lives on an island in a mountain. And this is Hunter. Hunter's a martingale system trader and a spearfishing enthusiast, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Hunter with a cool yak background and a soft, soothing voice to tame the market today.
Yeah. Cheers, beautiful. Yeah, I actually got that picture just as I was moving in from Winners, just walking through the mall. I seen it in the window, and I had to go in and buy it just for the trading purposes in the background.
Yeah, that became a very popular thing the last couple of years. I think a lot of
Yeah.
Instagram moms had the yak as a big influencer in their houses.
Yeah, that's what I strive to be, as an
Right,
influencer
exactly.
mom.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? All the influencers out there. All right, guys, let's first unpack. Let's unpack yesterday. James, I'll start with you. I just want you to give the audience out here, how was your trading day yesterday? Did you see this coming? Were you positioned for it? And yes, no, and different. But what did yesterday look like for you? What did yesterday feel like for you? Your thoughts.
Yeah, I did take a hit on my little bit of a longer term portfolio where I'm a little bit younger, so I can be more invested in some tech stocks and stuff like that. But I did have some positions on those that were running a little bit in profit side. Some runners on particularly Tesla. I had a nice run up on that in the last couple of months from about 185 to 220, and obviously did peak at about 240 in the last couple. But yeah, long-term portfolio took a little bit of a hit, but day trading side of things, I actually stayed flat yesterday on the intraday type of stuff. After seeing the VIX, the VIX at one stage was up about 120% yesterday, as you mentioned. The biggest spike since 1990. So I wasn't even born then. So I kind of stayed flat yesterday on the intraday type of thing, and just managed my longer-term portfolio, got out of some positions. But yeah, not a I wouldn't say what I was expecting it, but I think it's a good healthy pullback, I guess, after we've had such a bullish run in the last couple of months.
Sure, and bullish run. Look, I think I take yesterday as not only we had a bullish run, but we've had an extremely low volatility bullish run, and
Yeah.
so we can call this, Volmageddon 2.0. I think a lot of smart macro enthusiasts out there were talking about this, expecting this to happen, but we go back to a correction that we had in 2022, where even this might have been even closest to what we saw with a 1 month cycle through COVID in 2020. That's about how hard it hit for a lot of people. And anyway, Hunter, your thoughts? How was yesterday for you?
Yeah, I'm actually not invested at all in traditional markets. I only invest in crypto markets. So I've been watching crypto markets, and this seemed very, very obviously planned out. If you're looking at the monthly candles, you're seeing losses of that all-time high
Yep.
regain those lower levels. And I was actually expecting this crash, and I bought up sub 50K. So we're in the green already.
Very nice. So let's talk levels for a moment. If we want to, we can let's spin this into the first challenge. So um, let's go challenge number one. We're just going to theme it. It's hedge. I think this is super appropriate for what happened yesterday. If you were hedged, perhaps it helps you mitigate some of the risks that we saw yesterday with such a dramatic volatility event. Like James mentioned, the VIX was just on the day yesterday. I think we had a move from open of the VIX to the high. We peaked up around 65 and change. It's about 180% move in the VIX. Crazy day. And basically what this is showing is, at one point, the market was expecting to see about a 65-point move in the S&P 500. So we've quickly faded back as this instrument typically does. Volatility index right now reading about 32.45, which is still quite elevated considering most of this year was spending its time in the teens. So our first challenge, gentlemen, place a trade using a currency pair of your choice, and your opponent must trade the hedge. So Hunter, because it's early in the morning for you, I'm going to let you go first.
Yes.
And I'll let you pick and then let James hedge. So what's your choice?
My brain's gonna work better in 15 minutes. Actually, I'm picking the Nasdaq. It's the only thing I day trade. The direction seems rather obvious to me if I'm looking at the higher time frames, right? So it does look like we got the closes that we want to see for the hourly and the 4-hour, etc., the daily and everything. So yeah, I'm going to be short on the Nasdaq.
Okay. And duration wise, are you short? So per our challenge here, we're going for about 48 hours before trades close. Are you looking to just simply day trade and try to scalp something today and just book some profits?
Yeah, I only trade 5-10 minutes a day in the mornings.
Got it.
Now the interesting thing is I'm going to be trying to do this before the market open, which I never do. I always do it a few hours into the New York session. So we'll see how that goes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a completely different market when New York's not up, and right at 6:30 of my time, it's going to go crazy haywire. So hopefully we can bang out something before it does something nuts, and because I don't think I could trade it during the actual open.
Meaning like it's just going to be bid ask too wide or just too noisy?
It's way too noisy. I can't track the trend. On the actual open for the first 30 minutes, it's absolutely insane and nearly untradeable for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting. I want to dive into your strategy a little bit more. So if we've got Hunter trading the Nasdaq, James, what is your choice of hedge for that?
Sure. So we did have a chat in the back here. I'm gonna look to then have to buy the Dow. Then I'm gonna buy the Dow. We have actually seen a little bit of rotation between the Dow and the Nasdaq, where last week or 2 weeks ago when the Nasdaq and S&P were coming down, we did see the Dow actually rally a little bit. So if I'm going to trade the hedge, I'll look to place a trade on the Dow, which is obviously quite more of an aggressive move as well. So we'll know very quickly if I'm right or wrong.
It's kind of funny because that's probably exactly what I would do too. The Dow does not correlate very well with the Nasdaq.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's a good. It's a good choice.
I got pushed in the corner there.
Yeah, that does. I mean, it makes it challenging with the trades here. That I mean. So example, if James want to take the opposite side, so Hunter wants to go short the Nasdaq. If James want to go long the Nasdaq, obviously that's putting up our challengers where one's going to win, one's going to lose. So the obvious choice is you're trying to look to something that's going to be a legitimate hedge. And gentlemen, I give you the permission to, if Hunter, if you're short the Nasdaq and you also wanted to be hedged, you can do that too. James, if you want to be long the Dow, you can also hedge that. So I mean, I do this a lot. When I've been on the trading battle, I typically take a pairs trade. So last time I was on, I basically did everything with the yen. It was, long euro yen and short pound yen. The winners ran twice the size. And so that's how I ended up making some money for the charity that week. So similar thoughts on that. If we want to continue talking here, so let's go to current trading hours. So it's 9:10. We're about 20 minutes away from the open. And I was watching the futures market last night. I was firstly making sure that as we started today, let me see. I got a couple of notes here on my charts that I did like 5 live sessions yesterday. I think it was important to stay very connected and tuned in. I was essentially a light sleeper, to say the least, since Sunday night when the futures market opened here in the U.S. So what I thought, and I just want to get your thoughts and feedback on this. So I think what would be good this week would be the U.S. has over 1,100 companies reporting earnings. If there's some type of stability in earnings this week, that might kind of calm things down. I think that the move has accelerated quite a bit with Asia. The Nikkei last night has been ripping to the upside, which I think is encouraging. So we started to see the Nikkei rip up in a big way. There's still a lot of noise here. I wouldn't be surprised if this is, I call this the tuning fork, where we have this massive dump. It was a 12% candle on the day. And then today we were sitting here up in double digits at 10% to the upside.
Yeah.
So we have, possibly this, the market kind of catching its breath, or Hunter, I'll start with you. What do you think? Let's go Nikkei for a moment. Do you think that we're going to take out candle lows? Do you think we're going to come back and fill gaps or anything? Is there any, Fibonacci retracements? What are you seeing on the Nikkei if you look at that chart?
Let me look at it.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, what is it? What's the ticker?
You could do that one you just had from 8cap. You go to the
JPM,
the 225. Yep.
Japan.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm not actually even familiar with this chart at all, so we can just look at it at a top-down level, right? So
Okay.
the on the monthly candlesticks, right, we obviously see a failure to gain a new high here, right? So that's super bearish, causing the downfall there in the following month, right? So I mostly look at the monthly candles. You can see same sort of thing. If I draw here, the loss of that level on that weekly, right? And then you're obviously testing the lows here, right? And that's basically what I'm looking for each time. So that was pretty obvious move there that it was going to break down. If we're looking at the daily, we're seeing rejection once again off of these previous levels right here. My draw thing, right? This candle right here rejecting off those levels there, right? And if we're looking at intraday, right, then we're going to be looking at the 1 hour and the 4 hour, and then just kind of looking for buy opportunities. So again, continuation to the downside here. We did regain that level right there. So, but all of these are tested. So obviously, yeah, it's all the same, man. It's all the same. It correlates directly with the NASDAQ to me.
Okay. All right. Well, let's James, any thoughts on the Nikkei? Do you think that was part of the contributor to why the U.S. market opened so ugly? I mean, we had 4 and 5+% gaps yesterday in the U.S. S&P and the Nasdaq, and that was because we had a 12% dump in the Nikkei. The Japanese yen was up to one of the biggest levels. Now, this does, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this in the forex market. 2020 we had a little bit of one. 2016 was Brexit. 2015 was Swiss National Bank. 2014 was a bit of an oil crisis and a dollar rip. The forex market has been known for these things called flash crashes. The Japanese yen has had intervention the last 2 years. And it's the opposite of what a traditional flash crash is, where the trend is so strong, it ends up blowing off the top or blowing off the bottom and then reversing. So part of me thinks that maybe that dump yesterday was a bit of a flash crash type move, which is what you're seeing immediately today with that response to the Nikkei kind of regaining. But I do think that volatility is still high and still elevated. So any thoughts on the Nikkei from you, James?
Yeah, no, I also don't really trade that market, but I do have a look at the yen crosses. I think obviously with the Japanese yen has been really weak over the last couple of years. I mean, we did see GJ go up over 200, right? They went to 207 to the pound, right? And now obviously we're back down to 183. So I think the intervention was probably needed to regain a little bit of stability in that currency pair. So. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a rally on the Nikkei
Sure.
to the high side.
Well, I do have an interesting statistic here. So Japan's Nikkei 225 index. I'm just reading this from a friend of mine on Twitter.
Sure.
Declined over 17.5% the last 2 trading days. So we had a 12+% dump plus the additional drop. I mean, from last week Friday to Monday, or Thursday, Friday, Monday. So this is about a 3-day decline. The Japanese Nikkei 225 declined 17.5% over the last 2 trading days. It's the largest 2-day decline in history. So
Wow.
as I said, volatility, one of the biggest single day runs. It was second all time since 1990. Largest 2-day decline in history of the Nikkei 225. Now, what I thought was interesting is forward looking 1 year, okay, after the previous largest 2-day declines, which was October 1987. A year later, the Nikkei is up 25%. October 2008, after a huge 2-day decline, a year later, up 43%. And March 2011, after a huge decline, up 18% 12 months later. So I'm not suggesting or saying that we are, guaranteed to go up in the Nikkei, but I will say that after that type of cleanse, I think getting a pullback, and for most long-term investors, this is an opportunity to be a buyer. For short-term investors, and this challenge, for example, these battles that we're doing, you guys have today to trade, and you have the next 2 days to run. So, Hunter, I saw your comment there. I mean, if we are trading, feel free to trade how you trade. If you're a day trader and you're in 5 and 10 minutes, you can do that. And just, if you want to, like, trade today and trade the next couple of days, and you essentially have this 48-hour window to trade for your charity and donate your proceeds. Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to be here to like disrupt your style. I just think it's important that we're trying to generate proceeds, generate profits, and do what you guys do best.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Okay. So let's move on to challenge number 2. This should be a little bit easier. Again, the theme is going to be hedging. So I think, Hunter, you already kind of did this one. You picked your favorite asset. So I'm going to make you pick another one. Actually, I'll start with you, James. Let's give you first go on challenge number 2. Pick any asset to be bullish or bearish on, and then Hunter will take the opposite direction. No, this one, you guys hedge from NASDAQ short to Dow long. This one is going to be the same instrument, but I'm going to force you guys to actually trade the same instrument, go opposite direction. So, James, you got first pick. You're kind of putting Hunter in the corner here, but that's what we do here at the trading battle.
Yeah, no, 100%. Actually, I do also trade the NASDAQ and the S&P intraday quite. Those are my favorite assets to trade intraday. But I also do have a look at the currency pair. So I'm going to look, obviously, with the Japan, bank interest rates raising to 0.25% for the first time, I think, in a good number of years. I'm going to look to short GJ personally. Again, we off the highs here. This is the hourly chart on GJ. This is moving like a stock. This is down 12% from 208 middle of July back down to 183. And it doesn't look like we're going to get any bounce or turn over here. So I'm going to look to short GJ, pound yen.
Okay. Hunter, that means you're going long pound yen. You like that?
Not at all. No. That looks absolutely horrendous. I think you might have a slight advantage here because I've not even been following the news in the slightest, so I had no idea about any of this. I only look at the chart on the NASDAQ, and that does me well. So this is going to be interesting for me at least.
Okay. Well, like I said, if you guys want to, and maybe this is more kind of my style coming out here, but if you are James is going short pound yen. My immediate thought would be, what's the closest correlator in pips in average trading range? That's probably going to be the euro yen, in typical directional too. So euro yen, if you want to go long, that'd be the.
No. I'll do the pound yen, and I'll put it off as long as possible, and hopefully we get a bounce, and then I can trade the trend change. Yeah, we'll just we'll place a little bit of a gamble and try to do it at the very last minute, and then show you up.
There we go. All right. I'm just going to do some. So let me do this. I want to get to know you guys a little bit more for today's session. So let's start with James on this one before we go into challenge number 3.
Sure.
I'm going to say, James, take us through your day-to-day routine. I think this is a really cool thing that we get to do here, is bring on all these great traders and walk us through what you do on a day-to-day routine. What's your, top-down analysis? What are you looking at? What's your favorite instrument? When are you in the go zone? Just walk us through what kind of a day in the life of James Roos.
Sure. So I recently, as mentioned, made the switch to day trading of the indexes, right? I was on the desk all day and feeling really, really blown out. I've been trading full time as my only source of income I did it for about 2.5 years. And then that's when I started to make a little bit of content. I needed other things to do in the side, as I'm sure Hunter can, chat about as well. It gets kind of boring just trading only. But I wake up in the morning and I recently got married, and that was also the switch, and have a child on the way as well. So
congratulations.
Trying to balance out the lifestyle. So the mornings I make my content, I do my stuff on Twitter, make a bit of plan for the rest of the day, stream wise and stuff like that. And then market open comes at about 3:30 South African time in the afternoon. So I literally have the whole morning to go to gym, do what I need to, plan, spend time with the missus. And then market open comes, and about an hour before, I'm looking at my levels. I like to use VWAP intraday on the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 charts. I do have a look at the Dow from time to time, but it does move quite aggressively. So yeah, and then I'm on for the open, trading with the guys over at Austin Silver and the guys over at ASFX, with the guys in our Discord. And then rest of the day, I'm, just going over my daily report card, seeing how my trading session went, and marking up maybe potential plays that I missed or how could have been better on the desk. But yeah, and then evenings, I'll manage my long-term portfolio. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And then again, as mentioned, we'll get on calls in the evenings with the guys that we do coach over at our education side of things too. So that's kind of the pretty simple.
Very nice. So markets traditionally for you, what's your trading window for you? You're in South Africa. So
Yep.
what is it? So are you trading the US markets when it's
Yes.
US time? So what is it for you? It's like 3 p.m.
Yeah, so I'll get on about 1 p.m. South African time beforehand, and then so about 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. South African time. That'll be about 2 hours after the open. I'll have traded the open, and then I'll come back in the evening and see my longer term portfolio position. But I would have mainly been out of my intraday positions because I'm normally scalping on the 5-minute, 2-minute time frame on the indexes intraday. Gotcha. After the open, same as what Hunter was mentioning. I tend to also wait for the open. I like waiting for that opening range breakout or the initial balance, as with Edge fill. I like using those statistics, and I look to take positions from there. I'm looking for maybe a couple points, 30, 40 points on the NASDAQ, 50 points on the NASDAQ, and then if I'm trading ES, 10 points, either way.
Okay. Very good. I'm jealous that you get to start your day at 1 p.m. versus Hunter is probably early on like I am. I mean, it's usually my day wakes up at 5:30 and to the markets in the session at 6:30, and sometimes I'm going until a solid 2 o'clock if I'm drifting in the currencies. So the days can get a little long out here in Mountain Time. But Hunter, you're even further west than I am, and it's even earlier for you. So is this a normal thing for you to be up this early? Is this about right? Or are you kind of going to that like 10, 11 o'clock Eastern time? Because it's what 6:30 your time right now.
Back in the 6:30.
Okay.
Back in the day, I used to try to stay up all night and trade, but ultimately my priority is Maven now. So I wake up at a normal hour, 7 a.m., something like that, right?
Okay.
And I just skip the open. My trading is so much different than probably most traders around here. I only care about the money. I don't use R. I don't use percentages anymore. I don't use points or pips or anything like this. I only look at how much money am I making each day. I want $300. I use prop firms to trade with, nice. And then ultimately the whole goal is to convert that $200 investment to buy the account into a multiple $1,000 pullout before I blow the account. Right? It's a little bit different strategy. I don't trade my own money at all at this point.
Okay, very interesting. So let me this. I want to give you guys a platform to give a shout out to the charities that you're trading for today. James, I've got your charity here, Bloom Special Needs School. You want to take a couple moments to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So Bloom Special Needs School, my wife actually used to work for them. They are a special needs school that help autistic children with special needs to live a better life, essentially, in the short form. But I have a couple of family friends, children that go to the school, so quite close to me.
Very nice. Very nice. And Hunter, your charity, I've got the Calvary Chapel West Shore. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just a local church in my area.
Okay.
Nothing too special about it.
Sure. Very nice. Well, hopefully there's something special coming their way with you guys winning out the battle this week. So I think it's a good time let's get our third challenge out there. And then I just want to talk shop and talk trading for the rest of the session today, gents.
Yeah.
So what we have here for challenge number 3 is asset in the direction of your choice. And this is where the followers, the viewers, everyone watching today gets a chance to see how you guys think. So James, I opened up to you early on what's your daily routine. So Hunter, you take the platform here and talk us through your style. You're a guy that's only following the money. That's what matters to you. So give us a day to day in your trading.
Yeah, man. I don't care if I'm right. I don't care if I got bragging rights or anything like this. All I want is money at the end of the day, and that's why I use prop firms, right? And I'm not even using my own prop firm. I'm using the futures market of another prop firm, right? And so ultimately, I started introducing a slightly DCA type strategy when I'm trading. I only trade the NASDAQ because I am trading on futures. And I am looking at basically the most simple thing possible. I only trade the NASDAQ. I look at candle body closes only, right? I don't look at the wicks or anything like this. The only importance of the wicks is to know if, for example, we've lost, we've tried to gain. Let me look at an example here. Let's look at Bitcoin here, right? So if we try to gain here, right, and we fail to gain that new level, and then we close it, that's a strong indication that we're going to be actually testing the other side of that range. I forgot how to use TradingView here. It's been so long. So we're going to be checking the other side of that range, and you can see that it kind of tested that. So I'm really just only looking at the candle body closes. If we fail to pass those levels, then it's a strong indication that we're going to test another level to the other side, right? So I'm looking at the higher time frame trends. When it does come down to actual entries, so maybe on the NASDAQ here, I'd be looking at, if I'm going to be day trading, I'm going to be looking at this. So we're going to see actually right now, I'd be short bias, which that's why I chose shorts for today, right? Because we actually closed beyond that level, essentially. Super, super simple. We're trending to the downside. So I'd be looking for entries here, right? Basically looking for any sort of pullback. There's a good pullback. And then I would just DCA possibly 1 to 2 times maximum. I don't do like the full-on martingale. I do allow myself to close positions if I'm at, say, negative, in a prop account. I would just blow the account, right? Essentially, and then start over. I've only blown one account after 4 or 5 months of trading. So we did do pretty well this year. And so you'd be looking for the entry, and then I'd be looking for a $300 profit. Simple as that. And then each day I would do the same thing. $300 every day gives me, a couple $1,000s per withdrawal.
Very nice. Very nice. That's fantastic. And look, I come from the land of I will trade anything under the sun, and I'm probably over positioned in a way where it makes people's heads explode. But I really like the simplicity that you're bringing to the table as far as this is what you do. I mean, do you deviate at all? It's like, is today kind of out of the norm of you're trading a currency pair, you're trading an index, and then if we go to trade a direction of your choice in another asset, what else are you going to pick here to kick off for challenge number 3?
What are the requirements to pick another asset?
It just says trade an asset direction of your choice. So you've already got the NASDAQ, and then you're taking the
let's go with
pound yen
Bitcoin.
opposite. So what are you going to go with? Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I know Bitcoin quite well for the high time frames.
Okay.
I do super, super well with that. And as you can kind of see that's how the pullback would happen. I'd be in and out in less than 5 minutes. I never trade more than 15 minutes per day, simply because Maven takes all of my time, and I only trade whenever I have time available, essentially. Right. So I'm not trading the opens. I'm not waiting around for certain times. I'm going to look at the chart, and if it doesn't look super obvious, like I probably actually wouldn't trade today just because it's kind of on the line.
Okay.
If it doesn't look super, super obvious, I wouldn't enter at all, and I would just wait till tomorrow. Right?
Okay.
I'll only ever look once per day. I'll take only one trade per day. I don't want any emotions involved. Jump in if I'm happy. If the charts look good, take a trade really quick, in and out, and then I'm done. Move on.
Okay. Do you mind going a little bit further into? So I think that's a really critical thing for a day trader, especially, is to have the ability to say, I'm not going to trade. It doesn't look good to trade. I want to reference the old Top Gun movie where it's just like, no, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Then he gets in trouble. It's this where the guy yells at him, is like, it isn't. What does he say? We could have had him, man. We could have had him, man. Anyway, Top Gun reference. But how do you choose for a guy that can come in to trade, 5 to 15 minutes? How can you look at a chart and say, I don't like it? Just because you don't have the time and it doesn't look good, you're not going to take the trades. Is that simple?
So I'm looking at, first of all, if there's any crazy news going on, just screw that day. I don't want to be involved.
Okay.
And I'm looking, because I told you, I basically look at the closes of candles, right? So if it's very, very obvious that we're going to be crashing, right? So right now, there's a massive wick kind of forming. We're a little bit iffy here. If I'm not super, super confident, then there's no reason to trade. I'm just going to look at it. If it's not obvious, you know what I mean? Like if it doesn't bother me not to trade, I'm just not going to trade.
Sure.
Because there's the trick is, back in the day when I was just a trader and YouTuber, right? I had nothing better to do. So I would sit there and watch the charts all day, and I would fuck up half the time, right? So now I'm busy all day, right? So I don't have more than 15 minutes.
Gotcha. Well, the fact that we're getting an hour with you, that's pretty special.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, well, it's actually a blessing in disguise, right? Because the reality is, if you're sitting there stewing over the markets all day, you're gonna mess it up, right? So if you only jump in for 15 minutes, great, looks great, in and out. Okay, I'm done for the day. I have no emotional attachment anymore because now I have something better to do, right?
Yeah.
You know, I have to go work on something. Great. I don't have to trade today, so I have other options, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you're choosing Bitcoin. Let's give James the floor here. And James, what's your asset direction of choice? What do you want to do? And then walk us through your, start to finish. And by the way, I mean, whenever we're placing trades here, guys, just shout it out. Let's share the screen and let's see what trades and positions we have on. We'll do a scoreboard check before we're done today. But James, challenge 3. What's your asset? What direction? And walk us through it.
Sure, I'm going to be trading the DAX to offset my hedge from the US 30 longs. So I'm going to trade the DAX to the downside. I do like trading the DAX now and again in the London session, but also in the New York session too. It's actually one of my best performing assets of the last day trading of the last couple of months. So I'm going to look to trade the DAX short. I like using the VWAP. So I like using for my bias as an intraday trader. I do like using VWAP. So volume weighted average price from yesterday and today. The black one is today, the blue one's from yesterday. We're trading below both of them. And then I also do like to use the 21 EMA for entries. So I'm going to look to trade. We've been trading below it all day, try to gap up today, and then we've just been moving lower. So on the daily time frame, we've also moved below the 200 EMA, whereas the S&P was sitting at it. So I'm going to look to take the DAX short over here.
Okay. Bigger picture on the DAX. Do you think that, I mean, let's get a consensus on the higher time frames. Hunter, you're going off monthly time frames. So let's just talk indexes. If I shout an index out, give me bullish, bearish, and we can dissect a little bit further. But let's go S&P 500, bullish or bearish for you guys. Like higher time frame, what do you see happening? We higher or lower for here in the next, let's say, till the end of the year, higher or lower S&P 500.
That's a tough one.
Till the end of the year. Well, the interesting thing is we're currently at the start of a month, right? So the candlestick that's forming is absolutely worthless right now.
Correct.
So I would, just based off of that, I have to be bullish. It'd be ridiculous not to be.
Yeah,
fair
enough.
That's for you, James. Same.
Yeah, S&P 500, I would say definitely if Trump gets reelected in 2024 November, I'll definitely say the stock market would probably rally on that fundamentals. So I'm gonna have to say bullish. It's hard to bet against the stock market, right? I definitely think that we are due for a little bit of a pullback, but it's tough to bet against an index that just has been moving up for the last 50, 60 years, right? So I'm gonna say bullish end of the year, particularly maybe even more if Trump gets reelected.
It's interesting because seeing that you're actually incorporating fundamentals, which I don't track the news in the slightest. So I
another
only
reason
look
that
at
your
the
trade
chart.
is probably very simple in a good way. Like it's so noisy, man. It really can be so noisy and distracting.
I agree with that though, Hunter. Like as an intraday trader, I will trade what's in front of me. I don't look at basically fundamentals. I'm not the biggest fundamental person. I do like following the news because I do manage a longer term portfolio myself, which is obviously in the stock market. So I do have to follow what's actually potting. But from an intraday trader, I keep it very simple to I just trade what's in front of me. I think that's probably the most important.
Just a bunch of toxic drama in the background, basically.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely, it is. It is. Okay. NASDAQ. Same question. NASDAQ, higher, lower?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same chart to me.
Same chart. This month's candle doesn't matter. Higher in the future.
If I were to say which one would be more bullish, the S&P would be more bullish, simply because I'm dropping down to the weekly, and the weekly has lost level.
Gotcha. Okay, James, NASDAQ for you.
Interesting, because tech stocks have obviously been taking a little bit of a hit recently. Obviously, NASDAQ a little bit more volatile than the S&P, but I'll definitely say bullish end of the year. It just depends, again, on fundamentals and everything like that from a longer term perspective.
Sure.
But I'll have to say bullish end of the year as well.
Okay.
But we do have the NVIDIA print. I think it's August 28th coming up. So I definitely think that they're probably going to beat earnings there. So I would say bullish. Obviously, if you want to look at the NASDAQ chart, just look at NVIDIA at the moment.
Yep. We have earnings. It's going to be an aftermarket earnings on Wednesday, the 28th. So we'll round
Yeah,
out the month,
August.
and that will be
Yep.
right after Jackson Hole, I believe, which is another fundamental
Yep.
thing. So, my experience in the month of August is so forex is usually a high low in August or a transition month. If we've been sideways, we're looking for breakouts. If we've had trends, we're looking for tops and bottoms. I see August have kind of labeled it for years as a high low month or a transition month where we break out from a consolidation range, and going into August, it tends to be kind of sneaky, like middle of August, late August. And so I'm very curious to see, with kind of a lack of data. I mean, just I'll talk fundamentals for a second here. For a lack of data, all we really have is the U.S. will have another round of employment news. We'll have another round of inflation news, and then we'll have Jackson Hole. And
Yeah.
I don't think, and if you guys were tracking this yesterday, the markets were freaking out a little bit yesterday, a lot of it actually, when you're looking at kind of historical precedents. But when everyone is talking about the Fed needs to come out and have an emergency cut,
Mm.
that is, in fact, I don't remember what chart it was on. It might have been the VIX. Let me. I just said that would be the worst decision to do right now, because it would show that we're
Okay.
absolutely cutting for the wrong reason. So my opinion fundamentally is the Fed should not be cutting now. I think the Fed needs to cut in September, like they said, and
Yeah.
just stick to the script and just let things, like let the data for right now in this 30 to 40 day window, let the data roll in. It's scary enough. It's scary enough that it's going to pull back on a lot of crazy stuff. Like in the U.S., I mean, employment has ticked up higher. It's triggered some recession indicators. All these things are out there fundamentally. But the reality is, if the Fed just sticks to the plan, they cut maybe 25 basis points September. The next one is November. Let's see what the watch tool says. The next one is supposed to be 2 days after the election, which would be, to me, I thought that's a bit of a wild move in the Fed range. So and also the higher probability is that, according to this watch tool, that the Fed's going to be cutting by 50 basis points. So agree or
Mm.
disagree? I'm just curious your guys' thoughts. I mean, the Fed has been the central bank that gets the most mileage out of jawboning, out of talking. They don't actually have to do anything. They say they're going to raise rates, and every other central bank around them raises rates, and then the Fed decides, oh, it's appropriate for us to do it. They're talking about cutting rates, and they wait the longest. So it's funny to me how the Fed can get all this free mileage out of the markets. Will respond to what they say they're going to do, and then it's the classic buy the rumor, sell the news. So
Yeah.
does this Fed? I mean, again, Hunter, you seem like you could care less because you're trading to such short term, but just want to get your guys' opinion and chime in on, does the Fed matter to you right now? Does the Fed matter to the market right now?
Mate, it's not even that my trading short term. It just doesn't matter at all, because the reality is it all prints on the chart eventually, right?
Mhm.
So if I've got excellent bias detection on the monthly levels, that's all that matters.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think also, I mean, it probably also sometimes is already priced in, right, before the actual print anyways.
Exactly.
But I think the only thing that really matters is if you got a mortgage and you that's the people, that's who the interest rates will
Yeah.
matter to, right? People who got credit.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that that coming out now, as you were mentioning, Chris, if they had to come out now, I did hear that they don't want to cut by 75 basis points. Like people are saying they must come out and cut by 75 basis points. I think that would be the markets, I think, would sell off on that, because that's pretty, that's quite panic stations. Whereas just let the data come in September. They were already speaking about cutting by 25 basis points in September. So just let it play out naturally. Don't come and intervene, anything like that, and cause unnecessary panic in already, the VIX would shoot up even more and would have an even bigger of a sell-off, in my opinion. So
I think, go ahead. I think that's a very fair assessment, because look, the Fed has been notorious for backstopping bad things. So let's just go back in time. So what happened in 2020 around the entire world? Massive amount of global stimulus, slashing interest rates, emergency style, to zero. Everybody went going to zero, and then slowly, as we started to raise rates, we raised rates. And I mean, look, in the U.S., pretty lucky that we saw the difference between monetary policy, which was a tightening cycle, and fiscal policy, with the government spending a pretty excessive amount. And so what we experienced for the last 3 years, from the little blip in February, March of 2020, into the rest of that year as a decade worth of discounts, which was incredible. If you guys traded in 2020, I would assume you guys did pretty well. I think most. I mean, 2020 was the first time that I thought bull market geniuses, because anybody looks good if you're just trading the markets in 2020.
Yeah.
2021, we had a little bit of carryover, but late 2021, 2022 was a bit more of a reality check. And so I think that historically speaking, the Fed has always been willing to step in and backstop and intervene. And so if this was the situation where it's emergency cut 50 basis points, 75 basis points before the September rate decision, I just think that would be the first time in a long time that the Fed can step in and the market doesn't care at all. In fact, it'd make it worse, and it'd probably accelerate the move to the downside simply because we're cutting for a recession reason as opposed to cutting for a data point of, hey, employment is softened, inflation's coming down, it's appropriate to cut and be less restrictive, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I hope they just stick to their guns.
I'd be actually interested just to ask Hunter this question. In terms of volatility like this, right, Hunter, what you've got over the last couple of days, you being an owner of a prop firm, how have you seen the results from the guys at the results at your firm?
Yeah, good question.
Of the traders, volatility.
Yeah, like, has it been more people blowing accounts, more people making more money?
Volatility generally means people are going to mess up more. They're not as stable, right? So it's really apparent when it comes to the NFP. We warn everyone days before, we warn 5 minutes before, 2 minutes before, 1 minute before, over and over and over again. And every single time, 1,000 people blow their accounts immediately. Right. So it is kind of unfortunate. But what else can we do other than warn you guys and tell you not to trade during that time? It's very obvious that basically everyone blows their account, because if you're long or short, it's just insane volatility.
Yeah. That's a good point. I feel like you could have some fantastic PSAs to get traders to listen out there and maybe make them better traders. But instead, I think that look, you make mistakes, make mistakes. Those are lessons. I think from all this, traders that survived yesterday, traders that survive anything. I can go back for 24 years and talk about everything that you vividly remember from mistakes you've made, horrible lessons, bullets you've dodged. This week, yesterday was no different. It's like, if you survived it or you didn't, question is, what are you going to do now? So traders trade, continue to trade, and hopefully you just learn from those past mistakes and get better. But
that's like the whole point of a prop firm in my mind is to an educational platform that'll fast track you to your own account, right? So that's what we're trying to do, and essentially is to teach them not to trade these times, because if you blow your actual funds, then that's a huge deal versus just a $19 thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think also maybe something to chat about as well. I like following Crudeli and Pax, two of the greats, futures traders of our time. They always say, like, the markets are still going to be here, whether it's a flash crash or whatever. What happened yesterday, the sun's still going to come up tomorrow, and you got to move on. Whether you made money or lost money, you got to just move on.
Yeah, it's true. As Ted Lasso says, be a goldfish, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, guys, do you have any positions running right now? We have some P&L that we can show. Anything ripping?
Yeah,
or we're 13 minutes in the open, which I know may be noisy, and there's no pressure to actually force the trades. Hunter, if you're a bit of a throw the reel out there and just wait for something to bite. If you're liking something, we got some open P&L. Let's share it, guys.
Yeah, I've got mine up here at the moment. I'm obviously short the DAX, short pound yen, and then I am long the Dow. I'm down $61 at the moment on my position.
That's I haven't even looked at the chart yet. So that's what's great about my trading is I'm focused on talking to you guys. So once I decide to trade, I don't want to have a trade running here while talking to you guys. I wouldn't be paying attention, right? That's the thing, is I can't have a trade running in the background. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 30 minutes, an hour today, and I'm going to do nothing but focus on the trade, and then I'm going to go back to work, right?
Gotcha.
And because I can't do two things at once, it really messes up your mind.
Sure. It's so refreshing to hear, because I'm the complete opposite. If I showed my screen here, here's my my account. Here's some of my positions, and wild. It's a little wild, right? This is just a typical day in the life of my trading. So got lots going on. Got some futures. Got some Mag 7s. Got some old SPAC plays. Have some energy. Have some Bitcoin. Have some gold. Have some silver. I'm all over the place. Plus, I got Forex accounts running, copier services, the like. So, I don't know. Maybe mine's a little bit too much of a shotgun, but I do pretty well. I also think that what I am is I'm pretty darn diversified. So even in the event of yesterday, something is paying me while something is
Yeah,
not, right?
sure.
So I mean, there's always a trade-off where 2022, if it wasn't for hedging and the currency market, I would have made very little money. My trades in 2022 were inflation trades, energy trades that pretty much lifted my first half of the year, and then the second half was just hanging on for dear life and battling out this, this little reset and reality check the markets had. But currencies made me a good profit for the year. 2020, 2021, 2023. This year, for the most part, has been pretty solid. Yesterday was certainly memorable. I just don't know if anyone's going to remember, August 5th and say it's a Black Monday event. I could see that as like a Black Monday 2.0, just to see what the talking heads will make it. But all right, guys, I want to chat about a couple other things. So, Hunter, you are primarily Nasdaq. James, what is your like instrument of choice? Are you like a single instrument trader every single day, or what's your favorite?
Yeah, I'm at the moment intraday. I am looking at a few. I do look at the Nasdaq, S&P, and the DAX. Those will be my top
Okay.
three. Just depending on which day, depending on what offers me the best risk reward, I'll look
Sure.
at that. What looks the best? What looks the cleanest? I used to trade quite a lot of currencies, Chris, which I've actually, from an intraday perspective, the volume actually until now recently actually died off. My currency trading in 2020 was, as you mentioned, mine was also really, really good. That's where a bulk of my profits came from for the year. But then probably since about 2023, it's died. The volume has just died off in the currency market. Dollar index obviously been moving higher, quite strong. But I've actually moved across to the indexes. The reason being, as mentioned, I can't be on the desk from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening looking at the charts. So I wanted to change the lifestyle and just trying to be on the charts for about 3 hours a day, looking to trade intraday. And that was a move. Obviously, in the mornings, there's a London session my time. I do other things in the mornings, my content stuff, try and build my brand, connect, with other traders, do the coaching services that we offer, and then in trade the open. So I would say still mainly the indexes now, but I do look to swing trade a little bit of currencies. And then,
Okay. Very nice. And I think that if there's a way as a trader to, cut off the obsession, I think we all get into this industry or get into trading for something that we are interested in. Maybe it's money motivation, maybe it's financial freedom motivation, but ultimately we find ways to make it work for us. I think that's what every trader needs to take away from this conversation is, Hunter, very focused. I mean, if he trades zero things while we're talking here today, it's because he's focused on us in this conversation. But as soon as we're wrapping up, he's going to be giving us, 30 to 60 minutes of his time going after these trades, trading for charity. And I think that's great. And so for him, 15 minutes a day, 60 minutes a day, I mean, a lot of good things can happen if it's like you do this every single day and you win, you lose, you walk away, doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
I just think there's so many good psychological things to take away from that because the market will never love you back. I spent many times, especially getting into serious trading in Forex where it's a 24-hour market. I've had many, 2 a.m. sessions where for me, it's London session. I'll trade at 2 a.m. I'll trade till noon and my day is completely ruined because it's like I just spent 10 hours at the charts, maybe to trade 30 to 60 minutes, maybe to swing trade for something that's going to take a couple of days.
Yeah.
But for me, 8 to 10 hours in front of the chart outside of maybe grabbing a drink of water or something, it's like it's exhausting. And so,
that's why I adapted my trading style. I used to have an entry requirement as well, and now the entry requirement is basically slight pullback, right? Because you don't want to be sitting there waiting all day, and that's so frustrating. It's more important for me to run the company, right, than to get a profitable trade, right? So to sit there for 8 hours just to fuck up my whole day, right? That'd be much more damaging than blowing $300.
Sure. And also too, I mean, the mental toll that it takes to make those mistakes. I mean, the typical cliche of loss aversion, which is it hurts more to lose than it does just to take wins. So I mean, if you get to the point where you can at least take a loss, let it be just tiny little scratches as opposed to this giant wound that can never heal. I mean, there's a reason that traders and investors and funds, for that matter, make their entire career out of being bears, because when it happens once every 4 years or once every 8 years, it's like, like the Stanley Druckenmillers of the world make a fortune. But I couldn't imagine sitting and doing nothing for 3, 4, 5 years and just loading up and having this be my bet. But I mean, you can look at all the market wizards and all these amazing things these people have done, but at the end of the day, it was just a decision, and they could have been wrong. It's like legendary status of like, oh, the Warren Buffett. Well, if Warren Buffett didn't put most of his income or his trading capital into Coca-Cola, and have it be the stock that it was, I mean, maybe we'd have never heard of Warren Buffett. It seemed to me at the time a pretty aggressive decision. And now he, I don't know if you guys saw this last week, but they're saying that Warren Buffett, called the top. It's like, okay, dude, I think he just went more conservative. That things are a little bit overpriced. He's a value investor, and things are frothy. So he's pulling out. He's going. He has more treasuries right now than the actual Fed does. I mean, I think Berkshire Hathaway has like 200 billion plus exposed in treasuries. So yeah, the guy's going to sit on 300 billion in cash and make a solid, 5 to 5.5%. They start cutting rates, and I don't know what the duration is. Doesn't matter. But anyway, there's something in it for everybody. And I think two things to take away from today's session is, from James's side, got a content day in the morning, trades his window, work-life balance. Hunter lives remotely, look, I'm envious of that, man. I just took a fishing trip in California, and my buddy's actually, getting out of the city, moving to this little cabin. You got to go in, like, turn on the power, turn on the water.
Yep.
And it's a nice change of pace from what is typical, like, city living, suburban living, whatever.
Yep.
It's just like life is busy. And so to get out and actually have that, just that decompression, or just, look, this is a very specific energy that you give to the markets. And like I said, the markets will never love you back. So take what you want out of it, make it what you want. And I think that these type of sessions that we do here with the Trading Battle are so special, because we get a glimpse into what all types of traders, all walks of life can do. So for that, I'm really thankful that we were able to have this session. James, you have running P&L. Hunter, no trades yet. Let me do one more thing before we kind of wrap up for the session. So we're about 22 minutes into the open. I'm just going to do a spot check on price. I feel like today the market is kind of doing what it classically does, which is like, just calm down for a second. And there's kind of lackluster moves right now, but I'm watching. I'll look to see if we take out yesterday's high and low. James, I'm sure you're watching with Edgeful. I think you and I are going to spend some time together later today and next week. But I want to see if we take out yesterday's high, yesterday's low. So we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, I don't see a ton of crazy movement across the board. Asia finished green on the day, over 10%. Volatility is back down to 30.89. So we're still continuing to see that fall. I did look at the term structure on the VIX. We're sitting at 31.42 right now. And over August to September, looking to see if we drop in the 20s. That's still considered historically high. The VIX average is around 18. And if we're elevated in the 20s, that's still a pretty decent move. That's going to be somewhere around 0.5% a day. That's not a joke. I mean, that's a pretty good volatility, which, for a day trader like you, Hunter, for a day trader like you, James, I mean, this is good stuff, man. Like, volatility until it settles in, we could have some really good opportunities in the next maybe 30 to 45 days. But again, assess the charts, read it, take good decisions, and off you go. So as we kind of wrap up here, James, I know you have an education package to offer followers out there. This is something special where everyone comes in. If you got a platform to share, Hunter, you're more than welcome to share information on Maven as well, if people want to get in touch with you guys. So James, do you mind talking more about ASFX for a second?
Yeah. So if you look at the link in my bio, you can see all the links that you do need to have a look there. But we do stream. Actually, the guys are busy streaming at the moment. So me, Austin, we got about 5 of us, 6 of us that stream on our on ASFX TV every single week. It's $10 a month. If you want to get to know us, get in there. And then we also do offer one-on-one educational services as well for the guys that want that more exclusive coaching. And you can book a call with us too via the link in my bio.
Very nice. Hunter, he officially said no educational offers, but you can tell us more about Maven. I mean, it sounds like you're a busy day today. So
Maven is a evaluation firm or prop firm. We're one of the highest ranked prop firms in the world right now. We have the best prices, and our slogan's kind of never delay, never deny. So you're guaranteed to get a payout with Maven, right? So
very nice.
You follow the rules and pass the challenge, obviously, right? So
yeah. Yeah, I think it's excellent. And look, from a trader that, I mean, I've been fortunate where I've been looking after some capital for a while. I've seen a huge rise in prop firms over the last couple of years, especially. I think it's a really great space in the industry. But Hunter, do you mind speaking more on kind of the safety and security of prop firms and how to find a good one? I mean, again, I know when you're saying guarantee payout, like probably big thing number one would be that, because that's probably been the rumblings through the industry, which is prop firms that all of a sudden, they're here, then they're gone. So
the interesting thing is, there's a lot of bad players in the industry, and it really gave a foul name for the industry itself. Maven, we actually do run spaces and live streams that kind of help break down the current state of the game, and we do that on Tuesdays. So if people do want to join that would be my plug, is watch these free live streams. And we can kind of discuss risks in the industry and whatnot. And it largely came down to people playing the game as I call it a growth only model, where they kept using their funds that they were making from the previous months to pay out the following months, right? Maven, we did something a little bit differently back September of last year. We seen that the market was basically following a very similar curve to Bitcoin was, where we have these giant euphoric ups and then come crashing down. So we really started looking at our data, and we spent about 2 months, me and the other partners, just yelling at each other for 12 hours a day, trying to figure out a system that didn't rely on new income coming into our business, right? So we could still pay traders despite not having any new revenue, if something did happen in the market where we weren't able to get new revenue, right? And we did find a system, and then about 6 months later, all the other firms collapsed, right? And people actually made fun of Maven for the rules that we had implemented back in September, and everyone was mad. And now it's kind of ironic sitting here being one of the only firms remaining.
Right. Well, I mean, good for you guys, great for you guys, and I would encourage everybody that's watching this video today or hear this live, if you're interested in the prop firm space, go check it out, get that live stream, know what you're trading. I mean, just like we talked about today, if this is your favorite instrument and you know it well, I mean, that's how I started my real serious trading in the Forex days. Was the guy that I followed was a full-on fund manager. He only traded one currency pair a day. When the euro dollars moved about 200 pips a day, he was going in to try to scoop up 10, 15, 20 pips. That's all he did. So, I mean, whatever you're doing, from the assets you trade to the way you trade, just have a plan. And I know it's so simple, but it's like, have a plan, trade your plan, and keep trading. I think, do you guys agree or disagree with this statement? There's never a better time to be a trader than right now. Agree or disagree?
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree. Just to back on what Tando was saying, like I was trading personal capital, right? In 2018, 2019, 2020, yep. Even 2021, I was trading personal capital. I had private investors that invested into me. And then these prop firms started to come out. And I was like, well, I can use my personal capital and deploy it into other avenues, such as put a down payment on a house or whatever it is, or invest into the stock market and use the prop firm's capital to trade. So I agree with that statement. It's never been a better time to be a trader, a retail trader, because you got these prop firms that are willing to pay you out if you perform. And you got so much information at your fingertips if you use it correctly. So
yeah,
I agree with that statement.
So just to argue for argument's sake, I do tend to agree, because the prop firm industry and everything emerging here is really, really great for newcomers to come in and make it very accessible. Now the problem though is the misinformation. You say all the information at your fingertips. At the same time, we come in with misinformation, and there's so many people that think that they're going to get rich quick. Right. And it's just not the fact of the matter. And that's why we have these educational programs around. Right. And that's why we have prop firms around is so that people can actually learn on their own time. Right. So a lot more people losing money, but it's a lot more accessible. Right.
Sure. Yeah. Tools and resources are there. And I just say, look, get out of the mindset of look, trading is very rarely been the get rich quick, because think about the simple statistic of, if you win the lottery, most of the time those people that win the lottery end up broke within 5 to 10 years. So there's a way that, if you come into some money, learn how to manage it. If you're wanting to learn how to trade, it's one of the greatest wealth generators that you can have in the world, but it also will take just as easily as it'll give. So it's trading, and it's not for everybody, but certainly in the space that, all of us here offer educational platforms and doing things like this, where it's like the Trading Battle offers a spotlight for real traders and insights of what we do every single day. And what's nice about this is we all have our own style, right? I mean, so follow James, follow Hunter, get involved with the platforms, take advantage of the educational stuff they offer. And look, the Trading Battle, we're bringing together all these great traders, all these great minds, and making the show awesome out there. So, gents, as we kind of wrap things up for the day, we've got some P&L. Like I said, the winners will be decided here in the next 48 hours. It's going to be interesting that Hunter's been sitting and waiting, and then I just think like he's a bit of a stalker. He just goes in, picks out his prey, and then just goes in and grabs some profit and see how it goes.
I'm actually playing around with it now, and I think I'm fucking it up. But
all right, well, for the trading battle, for 8cap, and for your charities, guys, I wish you guys luck this week and the next the next 15 minutes, the next 24 to 48 hours. We want to see all the proceeds go to good causes. And thanks for being here, guys. It was nice to spend some time with you.
Thank you.
And we'll do it again soon. All right, happy trading, lots of profits, everybody. Take care.
Okay, ciao.
Cheers, guys.